Welcome back. In this lecture, I'll try to help you with a scenario in Lakehouse project and understand how we can implement it using Delta Live tables in Databricks platform. So let's start. So here is a diagram which represents a typical Lakehouse project. What we do in Lakehouse project, we ingest data from our sources using some suitable data ingestion tool, maybe bring it into a landing zone in our Lakehouse platform, and then we start writing our Lakehouse application from the landing zone onwards. First step would be to write some Spark application or use autoloader to ingest data from the landing zone and build our bronze layer. Bronze layer is our raw data layer made up of delta tables, and then we start building rest of the application from the raw layer. So we again write some Spark application, read data from the bronze layer, maybe implement some data quality checks, duplicate removal or data enrichment activity, and build our silver layer tables. And from silver layer we again start a new application which reads from the silver layer and do some aggregations or prepare the final results for our consumers and save that into the gold layer. And then our consumers can read from the gold layer. They might want to build some dashboard or use it for machine learning or whatever purpose. So that's what we do in a typical case in a Lakehouse project. And for doing all that, we write Spark applications here for maybe 3 pieces of Spark application. And these Spark applications define how to do things, right? This Spark application defines how to read data from landing zone and how to write it into the bronze layer. Similarly, this application defines how to read data from bronze layer, how to implement data quality checks, how to remove duplicates, how to build your dimension tables, or how to build your fact tables, and prepare your data set for the silver layer. And similarly, the last layer will define how to aggregate or how to summarize data or how to prepare data for our consumers and save it in the gold layer. That's what we do. But Databricks offers us a declarative ETL tool known as DLT or Delta Live Tables. And Delta Live Tables allow us to do the entire journey starting from here till here, this entire journey using a declarative code and inbuilt DLT pipeline. So to understand that, let's narrow down a scenario and create a specific scenario which we can work out, and along the way we'll learn how to do it using declarative ETL tool DLT in Databricks. So to give you an idea and learn DLT, I have prepared a specific scenario, and this goes through the entire 3 layers of medallion architecture. So we are assuming that we have a landing zone here where we are ingesting data using our data ingestion tool, and data is coming and sitting into the landing zone. And what we want to do, we want to work out with 2 data sets. One is your customer data and another one is your invoices data. Customer is a master information, so it's kind of will result into a dimension table. Invoice is transaction information, so it will result into a kind of fact table. So we want to cover up one dimension table and one fact table. So let's work with the customer data set first. So customer data set comes into the landing zone. We want to build a pipeline which reads data from the landing zone and fills into customer's raw table. Customer's raw table is our bronze layer table. It is supposed to capture raw data as it arrives, so no transformation needed. Read data from the landing zone and fill it into customer's raw delta table. We can use autoloader to read data from the landing zone. Autoloader is more efficient. So we plan to use autoloader, but we want to do it using DLT pipeline. So we will learn how to use autoloader in a DLT pipeline to read data from landing zone and fill our bronze layer table. Once data is in the bronze layer table, we will move forward, read data from the customer's raw table, from the bronze layer table, and apply some data quality checks and create our customers clean data, which will have only high quality data, filtering out the poor quality data. And this is an intermediate table, right? So this table may contain duplicate records. It is also possible that you received a customer information today, and again tomorrow you are receiving same customer information once again. Maybe customer information is updated or customer information is modified. So you might receive another record for the same customer. So customer clean table is not supposed to do the duplicate removal. It's an intermediate table, so it will simply capture the duplicate records. But since this customer clean table may contain some duplicate records, we want to build a final customer's dimension table eliminating the duplicates. And since it's a dimension table, how do we implement duplicate removal in dimension table? In a data warehousing world, we can implement you something called SCD type 2. In SCD type 2, we when we receive new information about the customer, we close the previous record of the customer with the closing date, and we create one new record with for the customer with new information with a starting date, right? So that's what SCD type 2 implements. That's what we want to implement here, but we want to do it using DLT pipeline. So that's about the dimension table. Similarly, for this fact table, we consume new data from the landing zone. As the invoices come in the landing zone, we want to consume it in near real time and build our invoices raw table. And from invoices raw table, we want to implement some data quality checks and create a invoices clean table, which is a high data quality table. That's an intermediate table. So invoices may have a duplicate records. Why? Simple. You received one invoice yesterday or maybe even today 10 a.m. but 11 a.m. that invoice is updated. So you might receive an update for the same invoice, which will create a duplicate record, duplicate invoice. One is the original, another one is the updated information. But this is our intermediate table, so we want to keep the duplicates here without worrying that duplicate. All we want to do is to filter out the poor quality records and keep only high quality records. Even if it is duplicate, that is fine. But in the next step, we want to eliminate the duplicates and create our fact table. So fact table should contain only the latest information about the transaction, right? And that's kind of implementing CDC or change data capture algorithm, right? So basically, why you have duplicates here? Because you received one invoice and then you received update about that same invoice, and that's how this change data capture or CDC works, right? So for the final fact table, we want to implement the CDC logic using merge statement and maintain our fact table with only the latest information. So that's all done up to silver layer. So we build our bronze layer, silver layer, and all this we want to do using near real time or using a streaming approach. Things up to here should be built using incremental logic. So we don't want to create or reprocess the entire data to build our dimension table or fact table. We want to only focus on the incremental data. So that is done up to here, and then finally we also want to calculate or build our daily sales report. So it's a daily sales report for country UK for year 2022. right? So this one is our gold layer table, and we want to build this aggregate report using the full refresh technique. So I'm mixing in full refresh technique here. This up to here, everything is your incremental data processing, and this one goes for the full refresh. So that's what we want to build as part of this learning exercise. So that's all for this lecture. Let's start building this, and along the way we will learn the mechanics of using DLT pipeline. See you again in the next lecture. Keep learning and keep growing.